and welcome to the inaugural episode of Muggle Yarns. I am Kate, also known as Misanthropy Knits, on Ravelry and Instagram and Facebook.
And I am Becca, also known as RBF42, on Ravelry and Instagram and other stuff.
Alright.
The links are all on our website.
Yep, which is MuggleYarns.com, and we are Muggle Yarns on all of those various and sundry social media sites as well. So welcome, thank you for joining us for our very first episode. Yeah, we met through Nerd Wars on Ravelry, so we are big nerdy knitters. We have various fandoms. We thought it'd be fun to come together and talk about these things that we love so much. So thank you for joining us. We hope you stick around.
Yes, we really do. Yes, so we are both huge nerds. Let's see, what do we like? We like Doctor Who, Harry Potter, obviously. Firefly.
Yes. Well, anything from the Joss Whedon oeuvre, really.
Yeah, well.
Buffy.
Supernatural.
Firefly. Yes.
Dollhouse.
Yeah. We could sit here and talk about all of the movies and shows. Star Wars. Yeah, no, really, it's just could go on forever. So we'll just bring them up as they come up, naturally.
And they will.
Yeah. Speaking of which, knitting that goes along with nerdy things, we should talk about some of the things that we finished recently. So, Becca, what have you finished?
Well, overall, my biggest pride and joy is my wedding veil. Mm-hmm. And because I'm a nerd in a different way, it's actually trimmed orange and blue because I am a huge Gator fan. I went to the University of Florida, and I knew I had to have it in my wedding veil. So it took me 6 months. Every day at lunch, I would knit for an hour. And this was like my third project that I ever did.
Wow.
And yeah, I decided I wanted to do it, and so therefore I did.
Cool. Did you use a pattern for it, or did you just wing it?
I definitely used a pattern, and it's something I found on Ravelry, and it was beautiful. And the majority of the people that used the pattern did it for wedding veils.
Oh, cool.
It's based on the Snow Peacock pattern, which I believe started out as a doily pattern.
Oh.
And then
that makes
girl
sense
actually
for a veil,
took it.
though.
Yeah, she took it and she made it into a split, I guess, pattern. So now it's a beautiful shawl.
Cool.
And I love it. I mean, that was a couple years ago, but that's like my biggest.
Well, hey, you know what? It's
favorite.
our first episode, so everyone has to kind of get caught up on what we've been up to.
That's very true. What have you completed recently? What haven't you completed recently?
One of the things I'm most proud of recently is I made a sweater from, I actually have the yarn. It's a wonderful new base from one of my favorite dyers, which is Sunrise Fiber Company. And she just recently got this sport weight base that I am obsessed with. And it keeps going out of stock, so I was really excited when I caught it in stock and asked her to do a custom order for me for the sweater. So I got enough to do stripes, but since it's a sport weight, I wanted to do the Elfie pattern, which is the stripes get in one color get wider and the other ones get narrower as you go down the sweater.
Like
so I wanted to do that.
Fibonacci.
Yeah, and it's written for a fingering weight yarn, and I wanted to do it in sport weight, so I used the custom fit software from Amy Herzog and just kind of made it up. Well, I put in all the measurements and all of the inputs and everything and got the pattern, and so I finished that recently. I really like it. It's way too hot in my house right now to wear it, but I'm looking forward to November and colder sweater weather.
Hot, really? I live in Miami.
Well, okay, yeah. But it has been warm here the last couple of days. Like, it was in the 80s yesterday. It was in the, low 70s today. That's hot for DC.
It's been in the 80s here. It's cool here.
That's
It's all
cool.
relative,
Oh
right?
my gosh. Couldn't do it. See my hair? Does not like your humidity.
Mine, I usually have more body to it. I have nothing.
Alright, so what else have you got?
Let's
Finished-wise.
see. For my dissertation, for those not familiar with Nerd Wars, the dissertation is a 3-month project that you commit to do. I am yet to finish one, but for my dissertation, the last round that I participated in, I actually did, it's a 6-foot fingering weight scarf, which it was a test knit, and it happened to coincide. It's done. I just never blocked it or woven any of the ends, and I finished it about 2 months after Nerd Wars finished.
Oh.
So,
yeah. I feel like a lot of dissertations end that way.
but I finished it,
There you go.
and I'm very proud of myself for finishing it.
It's
The other
awesome.
dissertations never got finished. They're
Yeah.
sitting in the closet.
I think all of the dissertations that I attempted but didn't finish in the span of those 3 months, I think they're all abandoned. Like, I never picked them up and finished them again. I finished 2 of the, 6 or so that I proposed. But if they didn't get finished in that time frame, they never got finished. I mean, I shouldn't say never, because they might someday.
They're still a work in progress.
Yeah. They might be
Until you
hibernating.
frog them, they're always a work in progress.
I had stages.
So the only reason, the only reason that one actually got finished was because it was a test knit,
Okay.
which is apparently the way to do it for me.
As long as there's
Give me
some
a
kind of
deadline.
imposed deadline, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But actually, that dissertation was that scarf and a colorwork snowflake hat, which I did this much on, and then I abandoned it. I frogged it.
Yeah, I have yet to really do anything color work. I don't know. I've tried, and the floats intimidate me, and and Intarsia is like too many balls of yarn. So I'm color work fail all the way.
I tried. I thought I could do it, but no.
I mean, I can handle
Keep me self-striping.
I was gonna say stripes are okay, but anything where you have
yarn.
yeah.
It was really hard. I only got through maybe a half an inch, and I was going crazy because I was like, I have to fit this over my head, and I'm pulling too tight, or sometimes it was too loose. It just wasn't working. I couldn't even get it over my head.
Oh no.
So, I abandoned it.
Ugh. All right. What else? Oh, so I've been knitting up a storm with my shawls lately, like I do. I had a couple of tests for Mia Rende, who is one of my favorite shawl designers of all time, of ever. She recently had a test for a shawl called Two Twigs, which I think might be getting a new name, so I don't know if I can even link to it, but I can link to my project so you can see it. But I did it in Tosh Merino Light. It was my very first time ever using Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which for me just seems outrageous that I've never used it before.
I've still not used it.
It's amazing. So apparently I'm now obsessed with singles yarns because it's so soft, and when I blocked it, it filled out so much. And this pattern had noops on it, so the little buds on the end of the twigs, and they turned out so pretty. So now I'm obsessed with any singles yarn. So I did that one. I did another test for her in a DK weight, which I don't ever do. It's so weird for me to use a DK weight yarn.
I know you mostly do fingering and lace, right?
Yeah. You can tell my wall of shawls behind me.
I'm the opposite. I do the thicker yarn.
Yeah. I don't know, and it's weird because I just happen to have 2 balls of the same DK weight laying around. It was another Sunrise Fiber Co. That I had bought for a different project that was a fail, and I frogged. So it became a purple shawl called fishtail braid, which made me think of Orlando Bloom as Legolas in Lord of the Rings. So I named my shawl Legolas. And then I also made a boneyard by request for a girl in
how'd that turn out?
Massachusetts. It was also Tosh Merino Light because I was so excited for it. She wanted something earthy. And it turned out a lot bigger than I thought it would. I really liked it. It turned out really well. She's actually requested another one, so
Yay.
I suppose that went well. But yeah, that's what I've been working on, shawling it up.
A lot of mine are smaller projects. I actually just completed a Kickstarter,
Yay!
as you know.
So excited.
And it was successful. So now I am trying to knit. I think it ended up being 14 knitted projects.
Wow.
And I've finished 3. So, but my goal is to get them out by the 1st of December. So
wow.
I have lots of gloves. Yes, I'm crazy. I have like 7 fingerless gloves. I've completed 2. 2 more hats. A big, huge. Do you watch Outlander or have you read it?
I read the first book. Haven't been watching it because we don't get that channel.
We don't get it either, but apparently my friend loves that show, movie, whatever, book. And so she's having me she bought the scarf, or she did the scarf reward, and so she wants the cowl. So
I know
that was the yarn
there's
that
a lot of cowls going on for that right now.
Yeah, so I
show.
just bought her yarn yesterday. It's beautiful. It's hopefully easy. I mean, it looks like it's a simple pattern.
Cool.
But, I mean, of my Kickstarter knitting, so far I've done 2 hats, 2 pairs of fingerless gloves and 1 hat. So, but most of mine is hats and scarves and gloves and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to knit big stuff when you live in Miami.
Yeah, I can imagine that would put a damper on ever wanting to knit a blanket or a sweater or something.
Well, I've done several blankets. I usually end up gifting them.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them, the dog has taken over. So.
Does she chew on it like she chews on everything else?
She actually doesn't, considering that she's this big. She's 9 pounds. The blanket covers my 6'2" husband. So it's a huge, thick, chunky, Jiffy Lion brand blanket, and it's awesome. It's so cuddly, and she just curls up and you can't find her. She's in the blanket.
Well, I admire that kind of dedication because I am knitting ADD. I can't handle focusing on one project that big.
Well, it might have taken a year to knit.
I have castonitis. I would just, I had a lap blanket that I was working on for a while out of giant bulky yarn and should have been, just knock it out, right? No, I got way too distracted. Was over it. Sitting in my WIP table behind me here. It's over there.
While I was making that one, I made one for my friend, and hers was smaller. So hers was the first version.
Yeah.
Mine is the bigger, wider version. So definitely took a really long time to knit.
Well, the hats and the fingerless gloves and everything segues well into what we're working on right now, our UFOs. Working on another test knit for Mia. She's got 4 going on right now. A woman's crazy.
She's awesome. One of these days I'm going to knit one of her patterns.
I ran into one of her first ones was the Mimosa Mimicry. She's actually, that was probably one of her 5th, 6th something in the middle of, whatever. And so I found it and I was so obsessed with it and knit it in 3 days. And then she had a test open up right after I finished knitting that one. I was like, sign me up. And I've been testing for her ever since. But she's amazing. She is so sweet. She's Swedish. She lives outside of Stockholm. She has 2 adorable children. This is not a knitting show about me or Indy. I'm just telling you because I love her and adore her. But anyway, so she had another test come up, and I am knitting this for my dad's new wife for Christmas. They just got married. Actually, they got married right after I got married. I got married in August, and they drove. And
you also got married in...
Oh, yeah. So
the Tale of Two wedding.
Yeah, I got married twice to the same person. I got married in June because my grandfather wasn't going to be able to make it out to my wedding in August out here in D.C. My family is from the Midwest. My mom's family is from Nebraska, and I grew up in Missouri, Kansas City side. Go Royals, they're in the World Series. Anyway. Anyway, so we actually got married in June officially, so my grandpa could be there, and he walked me down the aisle. It was really sweet. But I had been planning my wedding out here in August on our 8-year anniversary, so that's kind of like what I consider my wedding. It's when I get my pretty pictures taken.
And beautiful they are.
Oh, thanks. But my dad and his girlfriend drove out from Kansas City for the wedding. They did the whole it's such a beautiful trip across, that side to go east. And so when they were driving back, he proposed to her, and they got married. They eloped right after that. So now I have a new stepmom, and I'm knitting her a shawl for Christmas. Out of another singles weight yarn, singles yarn fingering weight. It's Query. I can never tell how to spell that or how to say that. It's Quaere. I don't know. But it is her merino silk single, which is delightful. I love anything with a silk blend. And she Kay is my stepmom. She likes neutral colors, so it's kind of a dark gray, oil slicky thing because it's got the silk in it, so it's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It's kind of nice.
Cool.
So got my
One of
Christmas
these days I'll pick up a Tosh. Beautiful. My I don't know, guilty pleasure is Malabrigo. And when I discovered that the yarn shop around the corner carries it, I just go in there and I pet the yarn.
Isn't it made in Miami?
Allowed in there.
Malabrigo? Yeah.
It is.
But it's super secret, top secret location.
Did I ever tell you that I think I found the warehouse?
No way.
I Googled it because I see it when I'm driving home. So I Googled the name that was on the building, and it had something to do with fiber, but you can never go and visit. It's really weird. They probably know that all the knitters would try and steal yarn.
Yeah.
I definitely would try and steal yarn.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've actually used a lot of Malabrigo. I used Malabrigo lace for projects that never got finished. I loved it. It was divine.
I have 2 skeins of that, and I've never done anything with it. I keep saying I'm going to, but I don't.
It and call it George.
Pretty much, yeah. But I like the worsted weight. It knits up so well. One of my first projects was brown berries or something like that. I've done a cap, and then a couple of, I never know how you pronounce it, the calorimetry.
Oh yeah, calorimetry. I think that sounds right to me.
Sounds about right. I made several of those in the same yarn.
Oh, I bet it would be really nice for something on your head like that, because it is the Malabrigo wool is so soft. It's not even.
It really is.
You can't even comprehend how something can be that soft.
It's sinful.
I think
if you make it.
Now I have to look on Ravelry, but I think I used it for a sweater once.
Ooh.
It was one of the Nerd Wars dissertations that I actually finished. Here it is. Was that Malabrigo?
I don't know what that is. Finishing a dissertation.
What is this nonsense? Oh, it was, the pattern was the Southerton sweater by Kathleen Danes. It was in the, one of the, Jane Austen knits from Interweave one of those magazines. I can't remember which one. But it was the Silky Merino worsted.
I've never used that one.
Or no, DK. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. That didn't segue at all. I'm sorry, I'm just making crap up.
That's okay. The dog is licking my foot, so I just jumped. Okay, so my unfinished, or works in progress, I suppose. I have a pattern that I'm writing. I was gifted, before I joined Nerd Wars, I was in Hogwarts Little Bit of Everything Swap.
Okay.
And I was in that for several, probably a year, and it was kind of like Nerd Wars, every couple of months they would do a new year, and then they would just restart. So one of the years I won a prize, and my prize was beautiful yarn, and it was hand-dyed. It's like a teal color, and you'll see the picture in a minute. But I won that, and I decided I was going to make a scarf, a wrap, a shawl. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want just any normal pattern, so I decided I was going to create my own pattern. It's about this big. I never got any farther. The picture that you were about to see is the extent of my knitting the shawl. Unfortunately, the girl that gifted it to me continuously every so often is like, oh, so how's this shawl progress going? Because she wants to test knit it for me.
Oh.
One day I'll finish it.
That's sweet.
Let's see. I also have a dissertation sweater that I really want to finish because it's that spoke sweater. Have you seen that? It kind of looks like it's long sleeve, obviously. It's got slight bell curve sleeves, and then the middle is just kind of like, it looks like it's a spoke wheel. And I did that one when I was on Team Punks because it looks steampunky.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so I want to finish that one. Eventually I'll get around to it. And then I have a blanket that I'm knitting for the child that we will adopt eventually. My husband and I are going to adopt from foster care, and I decided a great gift would be a blankie. And with that progress, or not progressing, the blanket's not progressing either. So, and then of course all my Kickstarter knitting.
All of the mitts.
All of the mitts. And the hats.
Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. So my planned projects, things that I imagine it will happen soon, is a lot of Christmas knitting. I've got that holiday fever. Also, it's almost November and I've got to get this stuff done.
I cannot believe that Halloween is on Friday.
I know! Wow. Where did October go? Oh well, sure. I'm excited for the weather. If nothing else, I'm excited for the weather to cool down. But I promised
I could say the same thing.
I promised my sister that I would make her socks. I got a braid of fiber from the Fiber of the Month Club from Muggle Yarns that was inspired by the Bumblebee Transformer. And my little sister goes by Bee. It's her middle name. And so she's always been obsessed with all things Bumblebee. And I was like, this has to be for her. So I spun it up immediately. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect yarn. Sarah, what do you want from it? And she picked socks. And then I got married and didn't have time to knit her socks. So I need to make her socks for Christmas. It was like a twofold project, though. I mean, to be fair, I did do half of it.
Well, so, she can't complain. She can at least, rub the yarn against her face.
Yeah, she came out here and saw the yarn when she was here, so. But anyways, I've got those socks coming. They are free bees socks, so they'll be little bees made into the... I'm going to make them as tall as I possibly can. She wants them to be over the knee socks. I'm like, I don't have that much yarn, so that's not going to happen. But I will make them as tall as I can. So those are definitely my up next as soon as I finish this shawl that I'm working on right now. And then Because I have so many gift knitting things to do this year, I've decided that for myself, I'm going to do Naniswemo, National Knit a Sweater Month. And I'm going to knit
So,
a sweater.
I thought you were dyslexic and that was supposed to say S-E-W. Now it makes sense that it's S-W-E.
National Knit a Sweater Month.
Maybe
so this
I'll
is an
finish
idea.
my sweater for that.
Yeah, there you go. This is an idea that started, it was actually originally National Write a Novel Month, which still is a thing that happens. And the girls
It's gone
over
off into several different things.
Yeah, and so one of them is to knit a 50,000 stitch sweater, which is like most adult size sweaters have that many stitches in them, in the month of November. And so I have, on the shelf behind me, you can see all of my sweater quantities on that second shelf there. So I have plenty of yarn for sweaters.
In the bags.
In the bags, all ready to go. But I'm going to use a sweater quantity of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in maple syrup to make a... I love how I picked a pattern whose name I can't pronounce to knit for this. So I'm going to link it right here.
I'm going to say Gelsomina.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a J or
That's
a
what
G.
it looks like. Gelsomina.
Erin.
That one.
Yeah, that one. But it's really pretty. It's got a lot of cables on it, and I love cabley sweaters, and I have a whole bunch of this Wool of the Andes, so I need to use it on a cabley sweater to use up some yardage. So anyway, that's my imaginating, my things that I have planned to cast on next.
My planned knitting is Kickstarter.
Any Hanukkah knitting?
Only if they gift their Kickstarter for Hanukkah.
Okay.
It's true, right? I am hoping to get everything finished, and maybe I will knit some other stuff. I tend to knit for myself because I've given my friends so much knitting that, well, I want to get paid for it now.
Yeah.
But actually the girl that purchased the cowl reward, she overpaid on it because I have sent her so much stuff over the years between her and her daughter, and she was just so grateful for it because she actually lives in a climate where it snows. And she's like, I've never told you how much I love your knitting. She's like, of course I'm going to support you. So I'm kind of making it to match everything else that I've sent her.
Cool.
So she'll finally have a complete set. She has a hat, she has gloves, her daughter has leg warmers. Now she'll have a scarf.
That's awesome.
A cowl.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool to hear people say things like that, like to actually know that your gifts and the time and the effort that you put into it actually mean something. Because you also have, on the other hand, all those people who see you knitting in public and are like, oh, you should make me this. Oh, yes,
Exactly.
please let me drop everything I'm doing to make you whatever it is that you wanted.
Oh, and you want me to do it for you for free?
Oh,
Who
yeah,
are you?
What? No.
Whatever. Every time I knit, somebody's like, oh, will you make me? Oh, I have a pattern. Oh, will you? I'm like, no. I have other stuff to get rid of first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then let's talk.
In fairness, like, I'll go and I'll ask somebody, like, hey, you know, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? Whatever. Do you want me to knit? And sometimes I feel like the scope of what they expect is a little bit more than what's feasible. Like, someone asked me for a vest for Christmas. I don't have time for that. Because I am knitting myself a sweater.
Because you're knitting yourself a sweater.
Like, clearly this is more important to me. But also I don't have a vest quantity of any kind of yarn either that I would be able to use. Like, I could do a sweater, but I'm not going to waste a sweater quantity on a vest when I have enough for sleeves. So, I don't know. Like, that just seemed kind of a weird request to me. Like, I'll make you a hat.
You could, here we go, make the vest, make the sleeves, but keep the sleeves yourself and use them as arm warmers when you get cold. I
mean, I could.
So when I'm knitting the leg warmers for my friend's daughter, I kept trying them on because, you know, she's like a tall, skinny 8-year-old kid. How old is Phoenix? And so I had nothing to try them on, so I kept putting them on my arms. And I was like, I really want to keep these and keep them as arm warmers.
I made arm warmers. I made arm warmers as one of my Nerd Wars challenges once, and they were awful. They were the worst things ever. I'm not an arm warmer person, apparently.
These were really cool. Like, they were, like, thick, worsted weight, and it was a spiral pattern, and, you know, ribbed on the edges, and it was just... I'll link to it.
Okay.
It was awesome. I loved them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so recently, well, in the middle of October anyway, I competed in the National Needle Arts Association's Spinzilla event. It's a week full of spin as much as you possibly can, and don't eat or sleep or clean for a week.
That sounds accurate of your life.
Pretty much what it was. Actually, that's not any different than my normal life. But anyway, I finished quite a few things. I finished 5 skeins of yarn, which was a pretty big deal for me. They were all lace weight to light fingering weight, which was kind of cool. But I had
And they're so pretty.
I was really happy with the stuff that I spun this time. I kind of just went with it, like didn't plan anything out or try to do anything specific with anything. I had 2 braids of Polworth from Squoosh Fiber Arts, which is one of my favorite names of a company ever. Squoosh
That's awesome.
Squoosh
That's a great
such a
name.
good name. It was just, she doesn't name her colorways, so it was just like a number or something. So I named it Northwest Forest, and I just spun it end to end, and then did a 2-ply together and ended up with like 1,800 yards of lace weight.
You know, you're talking Greek to me, right?
You know, and you understand the 1,800 yards is a lot of yarn.
Okay, I got the spun part, and I think I got the 2-ply part. Is that lace or fingering?
Well, I did 2 singles and plied them together, so,
Great.
that's just the construction
What
of
is
it.
that?
It ended up being a lace weight. Although, Polworth is a sheep that when you get it wet, it floofs, and the yarn gets bigger. It floofs. My
Oh.
Squoosh floofs. So I imagine that when I finally get around to actually getting it wet, it will get bigger.
Like your hair.
That's
in
what
Florida.
she said. Yes. I also spun a braid of Nerd Girl Yarns, a colorway that was inspired by Jackie from Doctor Who. She is Rose's mom, and she is super feisty.
I love Jackie.
Yeah, and so it's like this in-your-face teal color, and the colorway is called...
And pink. There has to be pink also,
There's no
right?
pink, actually. It's just bright teal, and it's called Stitch This, Mate. Makes me happy. So that was the second one that I did, and it was 3-ply, I think? I don't remember how I did this. Never mind. Ignore me. 3-ply, I think.
It was pretty.
Got over 400 yards of that, so that's going to be a shawl. Actually, probably all of these will end up being shawls, let's just be honest, because it's me.
So, what are you going to do with that 1,800 yards?
I was thinking about using it for the Evanstar.
Really big shawl?
Yeah, the Evanstar shawl.
Is that the circular one that has...
It's really, really intricate, and it's very popular. Yeah, there's a lot of... But it's inspired by Lord of the Rings.
There were a lot of dissertations in that pattern. Like, always.
Yeah, I bet.
There's so many.
Yeah. So the other thing that I spun a club colorway from Spunky Eclectic, which is...
That's a great name.
Oh my god, and they are amazing, amazing dyers. Amy at Spunky Eclectic makes some of the best colors. Like, I just recently discovered them and signed up for their fiber club, and so August was my first one, which is the one that I spun up, and the color's called Happy Accidents, and it looks like a wine spilled on the fiber, which just makes me really happy.
So are you no longer on a fiber diet because you're married?
Yes. Now that I am
You're
not...
on like a major...
Yeah, I was cold sheep in it for a while. but now I'm not anymore at all. Because all I need in my life is more yarn, obviously. You guys don't see what I'm seeing right now, but the view is amazing. So anyway,
I've seen your stash. It's beautiful.
Smoky Eclectic. Can't recommend them high enough. They're amazing. Club colorways are beautiful.
And
they do yarn and
US
farmer.
based?
They are. And they actually source some of the best fiber, and if you want to get into dyeing fiber on your own, they have really good selection of undyed fiber, very reasonable prices. So that's kind of, I've actually bought from them a couple of times some undyed stuff to play with. Which I haven't done yet, but I have it hanging out right behind me in my little fiber bin.
Ready to go.
Yeah, it's good.
Your fiber bin.
I have organization.
Issues.
All right, we got
issues?
two more hand spuns. Okay, so I had one of the very first fiber thingies that I ever bought was actually I didn't buy it. My dad bought it for me for Christmas like 3 years ago when I first started spindling and hated everything to do with spinning, which had a lot to do with my spindle and the fiber that I was using, which was like a silk Angora, something really slippery, stupid first fiber to try. But anyway, I digress. So I've had this Cupcake Fiber Company bats, little mini bats, for a really long time. They come in a box of 6 little mini bats. It's 6 ounces, and they you can spin them up like 3 and 3 and ply them to have matching skeins for socks. But I just did the whole thing together in one big skein of yarn, and I ended up with 1,040 yards. So that's probably a light fingering weight, but it's really pretty. Like the bats blend all of the colors together nicely, so it's like green and brown and kind of tweedy looking, and make a nice fall shawl.
Oh, shawl.
A really big one. And then the last thing I did on the last day was another club colorway from Mad Color Fiber Arts. Mad Color she also plays on Nerd Wars. She was on my Brown Coats team back in Tournament 3. She's fantastic. But she does 3-month clubs with different themes, and so this was the Marvel theme, and I did fiber for that club. I usually do yarn, but I was feeling a little squirrely when I signed up, so I ended up with fiber instead. And it was a mixed merino silk blend fiber in a low-key colorway called Burden with Glorious Purpose, which made me so happy.
Purple and black and gold.
It's just green.
I'm sorry, green.
It's all
green and black and gold.
It's green and like teal and gold.
My friend,
it's very pretty,
is in love with Loki. Well, let's just say she's in love with all things Loki. Every time a shirt comes out, anything, I post it on her wall and she buys it.
See, I love the actor more than the character. Like, Loki, whatever, I didn't really get it. But then I saw a couple of interviews with Tom Hiddleston. I was like, oh my god, this person is amazing. So anytime I see Hiddleston,
she's gonna marry him.
Anytime I see Hiddleston in anything, I'm like, I have to watch it. He's adorable.
Right, T, you're gonna marry him? He is. He's so cute. Have you heard the new commercial that he's in for Jaguar?
Yes.
Where
all the British guys are bad guys. It's awesome. It's a good.
So true, though.
It is. Just watch Star Wars. All the bad guys are British.
I'm hot.
Alright, so that's my spinning. I haven't done any spinning since Spinzilla because the way Spinzilla counts yardage, you get credit for all of the singles that you spin, and then you also get credit for the yardage that you spin when you put all the singles together, when you ply them all together. So like a 400 yard skein would get you 400 for every ply plus 400 for the plying. So if it was a 402 ply, you'd get 1,200 yards. Yeah, math. So anyway, after the end of all of my spinning, I ended up with over 12,000 yards for Spinzilla, which was a lot.
In 1 week.
In 1 week, yeah. And I was exhausted, and I don't want to spin anymore. But I'm actually kind of starting to itch again and wanting to spin something. And my fiber collection keeps growing, so I really should probably take care of some of that. But
and yet you're trying to convince me to learn how to spin.
Yes. Because I like to enable.
You're an enabler.
Well, one of my favorite things about spinning is you take the fiber in the braid, and, it comes to you this way, just like you get fiber in a skein. But then you get to pull it apart and put it together however you want, and you get to totally play with the colors that way. It's like a kid finger painting, but it's an adult with a spinning wheel. I love spinning. I had one of my favorite projects ever of all time that I've spun was a fiber that came in a braid with the colors, 3 colors, pink, orange, and gray, alternating all the way around the braid. Mm-hmm. And I pulled them apart and put all the pinks together, and all the oranges together, and all the grays together, and then all the little in-between pieces together, and I spun it like a gradient. So it wasn't presented that way, but I spun it that way. Yeah, and it turned out so awesome. I'm so happy with it. It was
and what'd you make with
Yarns. It? I haven't made anything yet with it.
Oh.
Because I'm a hoarder. But the braid was from Muggle Yarns. She had a series of 4 colors that were inspired by the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse from Supernatural. So I had a braid of each, and I spun all 4 of them and toured a fleece back in the summertime. But yeah, that one was Famine. Was the pink and the orange and the gray. So all 4 of them will become shawls eventually. I just haven't found.
What do those colors have to do with Famine?
It's the color's called All You Can Eat. I don't really know where the inspiration came from.
All You Can Eat. So that's what. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Yeah.
I don't know. Spinning is awesome. End of story.
What?
Have you enhanced your stash lately? You went shopping yesterday.
Have you diminished your stash lately?
Shut up.
How about just stash and we can kind of go either way? But in all honesty, aside from the 3 that I purchased, 3, 4, 5, whatever I purchased yesterday, we won't count the numbers. All of my Kickstarter knitting is from Stash Yarn. However, when the Pearl Arts and Crafts store that I used to shop in when I was a kid went out of business a couple months ago, I might have gone and picked up about 700 balls of yarn for $1 a piece.
Holy crap.
Okay, well, it wasn't really 700.
Oh,
it was
I
more
understand
like
hyperbole.
Or like 40. But it was all in neutral colors because I knew I was going to be doing a Kickstarter, and I knew that grays and browns was perfect. So
yeah.
There might be a green one in there because I was thinking of myself. But yes, yesterday I was on Knitpicks, and I'm obsessed with their Brava. I'm doing the baby blanket or the kids blanket in Brava worsted.
It's the hands down the best acrylic I've ever worked with. It's amazing.
It is so soft.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, you
Which
can't
is
tell
so
that it's
good
acrylic.
for like baby blankets or anything that children are going to wear or come in contact with because they're slimy and sticky and things need to be washable. I love Brava too.
Yes. But for the cowl I bought Brava bulky, and you actually have to hold 2 strands. So it's Brava bulky on, I think, size 25 yarn or needles. It was this pattern is either 25 or 35. It's huge. Like,
dang.
The pattern the designer is like, oh yeah, I finished it in like 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I bought her like a really pretty dark charcoaly gray, and I bought myself like a light-ish blue. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a couple of other Brava colors.
It's good to just have it around. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
And what about you?
I backed a Kickstarter called Midwest Knits. It's a new book that's coming out with a lot of really wonderful designers. I was really excited to see it. And I'm from the Midwest, so I was happy to support something like that. And the reward that I selected was actually donated by a Canadian company because they're awesome. It's Indigo Dragonfly. They have some really good fandom yarns. But with the shipping from Canada and everything, it's so hard to, like, justify... You know, because indie dyed yarn is already kind of expensive, and then the shipping, and it's like, But anyway, so I heard from Ron at Indigo Dragonfly, and he was like, what color do you want? And I was, surprise me. It's a Kickstarter, whatever you've got. And they sent me this, which is beautiful, and I'm going to get a better picture, because it's not really like this to me. But anyway, the colorway is Sargasm, which fits my personality really well. I've actually wanted this color for a really long time. So I was super excited about it. It's on their Carabuba base, which is a 100% superwash merino 4-ply. It's 435 yards, and it's going to be a shawl. I know that's shocking, but anytime I get a solid skein of fingering weight, that's going to be a shawl.
I'm just looking at all of the ones above your head, and the one that you sent me, I love. I actually wore it to a wedding over a black dress, and everybody was asking me if I knit it. I was like, no, my friend Kate did. I'm not this talented.
I'm a shawlaholic. I cannot help it. I'm so addicted to lace. It's so beautiful. And it's amazing to me that just like a handful of stitches can make these amazing, intricate designs. Anyway.
I think we actually backed the same couple of projects.
Yes.
Kickstarter. The black with the color on the inside.
Yes, the, what is that called?
With an F.
Yeah, fibro something. Fibro fibers. Yeah. Something like that. The girl has fibromyalgia is why it's called that. Now I'm getting on Kickstarter.
No! Her Kickstarter was actually extremely successful.
Yeah.
And my reward, I'm not going to be getting it until April, which is fine because I have a lot of knitting to do before then.
Oh, you say that like you can't have more stash than you have projects.
I know, but look behind
I have so much yarn. You know what's sad though? That's my small shelf of yarn.
I believe it.
That's my hand spun and my sweater quantities, and that's it. Like all of my single skeins of yarn are right here next to me in my giant bookshelf. Yeah.
On that side.
I have a lot of yarn.
Mine all fits in like 4 bins in the closet and in the bag in the living room, and there's some stashed other places. But mine is maybe as big as that shelf behind you.
I got books on there too. See, there's books on my bookshelf.
And quite a few project bags too.
Yeah, a lot of those have languishing works in progress in them.
I love project bags.
Me too.
We'll film on Wednesdays and we'll post on Fridays. So
I think we plan to have knit-alongs and contests and things as we go along. We don't want to start that too early because we want to make sure that there's actually people who want to enter in those knit-alongs and giveaways.
Right. So if you're watching this and you want to enter in a contest, have a giveaway. If you want us to mention your company as, whatever.
Yeah.
Contact us. We can be found anywhere as Muggle Yarns, and we would love to talk about your yarn or your pattern or your whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I well, as Becca was saying, she's working on a design. I'm working on a shawl design as well right now. So we would love any opportunity to review a pattern that you're releasing. We love supporting other designers. So if you have a book or a pattern or whatever that you want reviewed, we can get you some publicity on that too. So just let us know. Our email address is on the website, and then obviously you can track us down on Ravelry, because I don't know about you, Becca, but I pretty much have it up 24/7.
I do too. It's actually the default page on my phone.
I just never close that tab on my phone, so it's pretty much always open.
Every time I open up a new tab, it goes to Ravelry. But our group on Ravelry is Muggle Yarns, so we found a name that we could get everywhere, and we did.
Yeah.
One day, when I have less on my plate, when I'm done with my Kickstarters, when we've moved, I don't know, I'm still going to be working a million jobs, so.
Well, working a million jobs, but hopefully living closer to them. So you don't have to travel as far.
This is true.
Because the commute will kill you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yay, Miami traffic!
Almost as good as DC traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we passed LA as the worst traffic in the country, so.
That's pretty sad.
I try not to drive anywhere, basically.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But I don't go anywhere ever, because I'm the most boring person alive. Please watch my podcast.
I, on the other hand, drive 2 hours to get to work and 2 hours to get home because I'm crazy.
I cannot do that anymore. I was driving that 3-hour round trip for my last job, and it was miserable. I don't know how you do it. Yuck, 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 yuck.
Books on tape, that's how. Or books on iPod, that's how.
Yep, Audible was my saving grace, too.
Pretty much. Elvis Duran in the morning and books on the iPod in the afternoon.
Whatever gets you through. See, for me, it's all that
missed
missed out knitting time. That's what was really killing me. I was like, that's 3 hours a day that I'm not knitting.
Well, I was taking the train, which was great, because it gave me about 45 minutes of pure knitting time.
Yeah.
But then I was spending more time people watching and not as much time knitting.
Are people interesting on the train in Miami? Yeah.
Bunch of freaks. Then I had to take the bus across the causeway, and I couldn't do anything because it was just smelly and gross. And I didn't want to take my pretty knitting out and risk getting it dirty.
Not good buses then, I take it.
No.
Our buses here aren't bad.
So now I drive, and I sit in the air conditioning, and I go shopping.
Yeah, air conditioning I feel like would probably break it for me if I had to metro in somewhere. Because you get that many people in rush hour, and it's just, gross.
Yes, there were definitely several trains that did not have air conditioning, and they only had like these little teeny tiny vent windows that you were not supposed to open except for in case of an emergency. So it was always an emergency on the drive home when there was those emergencies. Somebody always vented them.
Wow. I thought our public transportation was bad out here. But don't do it anymore.
So no, I'm not doing it. So now I drive and I stop and shop and get coffee and meet friends and do stuff on my way home to break up the 2-hour
Yeah,
marathon.
I guess. If you can't get out it, you're not moving anywhere.
Oh, well, we'll be moving soon, I hope. What does this have to do with knitting?
This is our real life segment.
Oh, okay. Sure, why not?
So speaking of that job that I used to commute for, I used to work at a hospital about an hour and a half away from here. I trained doctors and nurses on electronic medical record systems, and then they went live with their system, so my contract ended, and that was right around the time that I got married. And
So that worked out.
Yeah, that worked out nicely, except for then after I came back from my honeymoon, I didn't have a job.
That's not good.
Didn't work out as well. So now I am waitressing again. I am working at a wings place that's very close to me, which means that I have lots of knitting time because my commute is less than 5 minutes. So waitressing, obviously not the ideal solution to my life, but it is definitely, it's a fun thing to do. It's, low pressure and never a dull moment for sure. So I am enjoying my freedom and making things work. I'm Tim gunning it for now.
Tim gunning it?
It didn't come out as well as it sounded in my head. So any good upcoming plans? Anything exciting else in real life?
House hunting, and that's about it.
Well, cool. Well,
we're boring.
That
we don't
it's
lead
good.
A very exciting life.
We talked about a lot. So for those of you who actually enjoyed listening to us ramble, we hope
and
to
are
see
still
you.
Here.
Yes, thank you for sticking it out. We hope to see you again next week. We're going to record again. We're going to try to stick to some sort of kind of structure so that you know what to expect. But thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you out on our Ravelry group or on our website. We've got the podcast going up there.
Let's see. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Did we do a Pinterest? I don't think we did a Pinterest.
I don't think we did a Pinterest, but we have an LO account for those of you who are on LO. If you're not on LO and you would like to be, please let me know because I have about a bajillion invites that I would love to send to you. So anyway, let us know what you'd like to see. Let us know if you think we're ridiculous. Anything you want to tell us, and we hope to see you again next week. Thank you. Bye.